So if you take a video, right, and we do script it out, but a video that feels native to the platform, that's a YouTube video, it's you talking. People ask you, do you need to film these big, complicated things? You can record with an iPhone and a tool called a gimbal, Stabilize it. I'm sure you're familiar, Xander. You can record with that and create a video ad that literally can drive millions of dollars in revenue.
All right. How's it going, everybody? Xander Fryer, CEO and founder of High Impact Coaching, best-selling author, here with Aleric Heck, CEO and founder of AdOutreach, and just overall YouTube. I'm going to call you the YouTube guru right now just because I can. But Aleric's been on YouTube for over 10 years. He's got his first channel went to over 400,000 followers. He's helped over 8 figures in revenue for his collective clients, and he's part of the ClickFunnels 2 Comma Club. The list could kind of keep going, but we don't have time for that shit. So Aleric, I just want to welcome you to the show. How you doing, man?
Absolutely. I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on, Xander. I'm excited to dive into it.
Of course, man. Absolutely. So Aleric, we kind of talked about this. Our audience is coaches, entrepreneurs, very similar to your own, a lot of coaches, a lot of consultants, course creators. And I think there's a lot of people out there that are wondering the best ways, like one of the biggest problems we always hear is generating consistent leads. So we definitely want to dig into this idea of generating an infinite pipeline on YouTube. Guys, just so you're aware, I'm already interested in talking to Aleric about everything that they do for our business. But before we get into that, I'd love to kind of just go through your story a little bit, like how you got here, what you had to go through to get to this point. I mean, it's always interesting for me to hear the entrepreneurial journey for people, if you wouldn't mind.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's, it's crazy because, it's a journey, obviously over a decade in the making. So, today, obviously I'm helping, mostly actually coaches, consultants, course creators with YouTube ads, get consistent leads, sales, and high ticket leads and sales. But I actually started out, back in 2009. So about 11 years ago now, I started out by building a YouTube channel. I was pretty young at the time too. And I built a YouTube channel reviewing mobile apps, technology tutorials, teaching people how to use their iPhone, kind of one of those, iPhone, YouTubers back then. And actually I grew it up pretty quickly. It became the largest app review focused channel on YouTube, with over 450,000 subscribers. I still have a small team that manages it today. It's more of like a 4-hour work week for myself, or actually really a 4-hour work month. I don't really do much on it, but I've got, it's still producing revenue. It's pretty good. But basically I built that channel up. We got a lot of sponsors, especially, 5-6 years ago was kind of the peak of mobile apps. It was on the list of things to do to sponsor our channel. People would get thousands of downloads. You were to launch an app, you would, have this be part of your PR strategy, be to sponsor one of our videos. And I remember this was about 5-6 years ago or so. And I was, in college at the time, and I was kind of figuring out how to turn it into more of the 4-hour work week, kind of adding people to my team, video editor, script writer. So really, I just need to be the face of it. And there was one particular business that had a sponsor that was an app, and they had a sponsorship. And we posted the video. They got thousands of downloads. I mean, that's what happens, right, with our channel. And they were like, "That's great. Can you post it again and we'll get another 1,000 downloads?" I had to explain to them, right, this is organic. We're talking about.
That's not the way that this works, but.
Exactly. And so they were like, "Well, how can we get more people to download the app? I mean, your video clearly works really well." And so I said, "Well, I've been experimenting." Remember, this is like 6 years ago. And most of the people running YouTube ads are like Geico and Ford. But I said, I've been experimenting with some YouTube ads. What if we take that video, we run it as an ad, and we point people to download the app? And a little skeptical at first, but they said, "All right, you know what? We'll do $500. So we spent $500, and in 1 week, they got over 11,000 users for their app.
Yeah.
Which exactly insane. We kept running that promotion, and actually it was a performance marketing company that had hired me. to do that. They're getting paid $1 a user, so they're pretty happy. They had another, big company, actually, became a unicorn, big, $1 billion kind of tech company that I ran the YouTube ads for. That was like kind of the first one I was really like running more of a full-fledged,
like
kind
actually
of
doing a full campaign. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember though, they called me up and you'll probably resonate, Xander, with this pretty well as well. They called me up and they said, listen, Aleric, we know, you're a young kind of tech guy. You got the YouTube, like we're out here in Silicon Valley, we're this company. We want you to drop out of college, fly out here and run our YouTube ads division. And I turned it down. I said, you know what? I appreciate the offer, but I want to, build this up myself. And I didn't say this to him, but what I was thinking is like, I want to be the king of my own castle instead of the knight in somebody else's, right? I want to build, my business. And so I started doing YouTube ads for mobile apps, work with a lot of different, I leveraged, because I became like a big name kind of in the app world or whatever. So I leveraged my connections and we drove millions of downloads. And so what that took me to, and this is where we're getting closer to more present day, what that took me to is beyond my network, I wanted to find more developers to work with. So I found ClickFunnels and I created a webinar to show people how they could promote their app using, YouTube ads and kind of our services. And I was then running YouTube ads to get these high ticket leads, to become app clients. That's when I realized something. Wait a second. And people started contacting me because I kind of got into this world of consultants, course creators, coaches, and ClickFunnels. And people started contacting me. They're like, how did you do that? Not how do you promote these apps? Like how did
you got me to do this?
Yeah, exactly. They're like, how do you get, high ticket clients? People are going to pay thousands of dollars, for a service or whatever. At the time it was more of a service, right? Now we run more of a program, but how do you get YouTube ads to get people into a webinar to do that? We've only heard of Facebook ads being able to do that. And, and even back then Facebook was still even earlier. And so basically what I did was now I'm like, all right, I can actually service people who have higher ticket programs, coaches, course creators, consultants. I joined a mastermind.
Not just the $1 apps anymore.
Yeah. Not just the $1 app. The worst is when you had some of these apps where they were basically like, we drive like 100,000 down, like legitimately I had these conversations. We drive like 100,000 downloads and I'm like, all right, this is great. This is going really well. How are these monetizing? Like, well, we're pre-revenue. It's like, oh my God. And then they don't have they're just spending venture capital money to get.
Yeah. Just
it's a different world.
Cash. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was actually introduced to, okay, wait a second, you could run these YouTube ads and get a direct ROI. We have coaches, consultants, course creators getting like a 10x ROAS, and obviously as you scale, we have people, it's more like, we actually have somebody though who just last month, they did over $1 million cash collected at about a 4 to 5x ROAS on YouTube, spent around 200, it was more like 4.4 and change, but about $220,000 on YouTube ads. And so it's one of those things, right, where you can have coaches, consultants, course creators dive in. That's what we started to do. I set it up. I work with a lot of big names, a couple of years ago and built a name for myself with obviously with YouTube ads. And then what I've done today and what brings us to the present day is we now have a hybrid done with you YouTube ads program where it's kind of set up like a workshop where we're diving in and we're training people on how YouTube ads work, these coaches, consultants, course creators, but we're also helping hands-on. So we've got our copywriters helping to write scripts. We're going in, making sure the campaigns are set up the right way. It's a very hands-on process to get it implemented and trained so that you can build this as an asset long-term with YouTube ads.
Nice, man. I love it. I'm a big fan of doing things that are a little bit more forward, right? And I think you and I were talking about you with YouTube, us with like our, scaling and systematizing organic outreach. Like we've both reached multiple 7 figures doing things very different than most people are doing it.
Yeah.
So I'd love to hear your stance, now that everybody kind of understands how you got to this point. I'd love to hear your stance on like where paid advertising is at, like when is good for coaches to really get into paid advertising? Because I bet it's different than my stance, which I love hearing difference of opinions. But also why YouTube, right? Over everything else. Like I'd love for you to just kind of dig into that a bit.
Yeah, so that's actually a really great question because I think that even though you're very into organic, I'm obviously very into paid traffic and paid ads. I think there's actually one area where we'll agree that one of the best conversions is, or one of the best ways to introduce somebody to something, I mean to say, is with video content, right?
100%.
Whether it's organic or whether it's an ad, that's what makes YouTube work.
100%.
So remember what I said at the very beginning, what I discovered about mobile apps, it kind of comes full circle, right? I discovered that you can take this video, and then we call them review style, right? Because you can't call them review, they're like sponsored, they're kind of like spotlights or features or whatever. But review style, you take a natural video, and then you run that as an ad. That's what works best. So if you take a video, right, and we do script it out, but a video that feels native to the platform, that's a YouTube video, it's you talking. People ask you, do you need to film these big, complicated things? You can record with an iPhone and a tool called a gimbal, Stabilize it. I'm sure you're familiar, Xander. You can record with that and create a video ad that literally can drive millions of dollars in revenue. Have
you noticed that the videos shot with basically like your iPhone actually do better than like a lot of like the videographer DSLR stuff? Like, have you noticed that?
100%. There's a reason for that. Think about it, right? When we watch, TV and like we're watching like sports, we're watching something or whatever, and then a commercial comes on, we go to the kitchen, we get a snack.
Programmed to just ignore that. Yeah.
Exactly. Just ignore it. Same thing on YouTube. You're programmed, you hover over the skip button. But if it feels like something that's natural, right? Something that actually is exciting, then you're going to watch that video. And the other thing too is with YouTube, the way that it works, a lot of people don't know this, is you only pay if somebody watches at least 30 seconds of your ad on YouTube. Yeah. So you're only paying if they watch 30 seconds, which means that you can push the wrong person away. You want people to skip who aren't a good fit, and you want to pull the people in who are a good fit to actually, take action and watch your ad.
Yeah, I love that. So YouTube versus Facebook, talk to me.
Yeah, that's great. And it's a big can of worms. And honestly, it can be distilled into one major thing, especially for coaches, consultants, course creators. The thing is, Facebook's super cluttered, and there's not a whole lot you could do to break through the noise. Think about it. People are on their phone, they're kind of scrolling through on Facebook, and then an image ad pops up, or maybe you have a video ad, but it doesn't play any sound, right? You're charged for every time somebody sees it. And there's no intent. People aren't going on to Facebook to find your webinar. So what we've seen is, and I'm a huge proponent of webinars. I know some people say webinars are dead. I wholeheartedly disagree. I think the problem is the platform. Facebook ads to webinars, they're not dead because there are people that still do it really well, but it's tough because you have a very low percentage of people that will actually show up to the webinar because they're scrolling by and they're just kind of casually clicking, signing up, and then continuing. On YouTube, think about the way that it works. It's intent-based. So people actually are searching for, how to get more leads, how to get more sales. They're searching for fitness coaches.
So it's actually partially inbound rather than. Yeah.
Exactly. You have that intent.
Yeah.
And then you're meeting them with a video, right? So they're now watching a video. You're only paying if they watch 30 seconds, right? So if they skip, you're not even paying for it. So you're only paying if they watch 30 seconds. They've now seen you and heard you. Because on Facebook, most of the videos just autoplay with sound off, right? They've seen you and heard you on YouTube. We'll talk about the components of a winning YouTube ad a little bit later on in this interview here, but they've seen you, and now they're going to go off to the webinar where they're going to get more value. And what we've actually found across ourselves and our clients, the average show up rate on a webinar, YouTube ad to webinar, between us and our clients is 50 to 60%.
Nice.
Which is really good. And again, people were getting that on Facebook, a few years ago, but today I have people who are excited to just get 25%.
Yeah, 100%.
And so, and that's the thing too, is think about it. People are actually in line, they want to watch video content. They want to actually dive in. Our webinar is 1 hour and 8 minutes long. Our average view time is 53 minutes, right? And we actually come in at 45 with the offer to book a call, with our advisors and our team. And so it's all about meeting people while they're looking up, what they're trying to find. So you film a video, maybe not too different than you would use in organic, and you just reach people as they're searching. You just hijack that traffic. You don't leave it up to chance. You make sure that it's your video people find.
Yeah, so it's like, in Facebook, people are searching for cat videos and they get you. On YouTube, they're actually searching for help and they get you.
Exactly. And there's a lot of business-based content on YouTube. I mean, think about like everybody who's listening to this right now. I mean, you're probably like myself, like Xander. You're going on YouTube, you're watching a lot of different content, you're trying to see what the latest strategies are. That's the perfect time to hit people if you're B2B, right?
Yeah.
Same thing, life coach, other types of consultants, agencies, right? It's the same thing. People are looking up, how to get leads, how like they're watching motivation videos, Tony Robbins, etc. You can get in front of those videos and get them while they're looking right now.
Awesome. I love that, man. Yeah. So you mentioned like breaking down the components of like the YouTube ad. Would you want to break that down for us or?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm all about too, is just providing as much value as possible. So I want to just dive in and,
sure,
and so
man.
Exactly. So one of the biggest mistakes that people make when they, advertise, when they advertise on YouTube is they see these commercials like Geico and Ford, like 30-second ads, right? And so they'll just create this 30-second ad or 60-second ad. And they're like, they have a hook, maybe it's good, maybe it's not. And then they say, okay, go sign up for my webinar. Those ads don't work because they're not natural. We found the best length for a YouTube ad is between 3 and 5 minutes long. So you want something that actually captures people's attention, actually provides value, and then gets them to take action. So the first component is a hook. You really want to pull the right person in, push the wrong person away. I'll actually give a really good example of this. And this is one of my 2 main hooks that I run. This actually isn't the one performing, or it's not like there's actually another one edged it out, and I'll talk about why that one is in a second. But we have one that's, it literally goes like this. What if you could ethically hijack your competitor's traffic and send it directly into your own funnel? We're going to show you exactly how to do that with YouTube video ads. Let's hop over, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
There's a few key things. There's subliminal things I'm doing there where I'm using buzzwords that us in the coach, consultant, funnel, ClickFunnels community know exactly what I'm saying. But if you're not in that community, you're probably going to skip it. You're like, what is it? This guy's talking
What the hell does that even mean? Yeah.
Exactly. And so that works well to pull in the right person and push away the wrong person. Another really good hook, another one that's working really well for us right now is, YouTube ads beat Facebook ads every time. And I'm going to show you why in this video. It's provocative, right? It's this bold statement, and I'm going to back it up. And so you want to hook people, get them interested, really get them wanting to watch more. Then on your video, you want to provide value. You want to give educational content, so like 2-3 minutes of value, because people are on YouTube to learn. They're not on YouTube just to be told to sign up for a webinar. So you want people to come to the conclusion on their own that the best use of their time is to sign up for your webinar.
Yeah.
Right. And so for us, what we do is we tell people about YouTube ads. We give them an example. We show under the hood in the video. We have clients who do all kinds of things. Some do the whiteboard, the drawing behind them. We have some people who do the virtual whiteboard, do a demo. Sometimes they're just talking. They have images on the screen. There's a lot of ways you can do it. And part of our program too is scripting it all out. We've got copywriters. They'll kind of fill out exactly how everything works. But basically creating that educational piece of content gets people excited. Then you have a clear and concise call to action to get them off of that video and into the rest of the funnel, making it stupid simple. Like we say, all right, this is the landing page. All you have to do is select the time, and you'll be registered for the webinar to learn.
Clear and concise call to action, something that no coach is good at doing naturally. But as soon as we start to do it, we get it. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's also why, we have very specifically, like, and I'll be on here and I'll provide value, all day long as well. But part of like our program and what we do with clients is we actually go in and we have a copywriter that's going in and taking, okay, here's what your best, here's how you would say things. And let's combine that with what we know works on YouTube. And that's how we're going to get the perfect script.
Yeah. Because it's going to be a good combination of good copywriting, but also you and your energy and everything there.
Exactly.
I love that, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you said you suggest 3 to 5 minute videos, and then you're sending them straight to a landing page for a webinar, and then doing the webinar jam, right?
Every webinar, doing the webinar jam, exactly.
Beautiful.
And it just works so well. And even compared to, people I know on Facebook are really shifting over to VSL these days, right? Kind of short form video, because they're like, everybody's attention span is so much shorter. It's really the platform. It's the attention span of people on Facebook is shorter these days.
Well, I think you put it a really good way. It's the intention of where they're,
Yeah.
you try and grab someone who's checking out friends' pictures or looking for, just something random.
Yeah.
You're going to have less of their attention. If you have someone who is, actively raising their hand saying they're looking for help with this, you're going to get people that are going to be more committed to giving more time. So it makes a ton of sense. I love that.
Exactly.
Beautiful, man. Couple last quick questions for you. Number one, in your entrepreneurial journey, what was the biggest mistake that you made?
Ooh. Oh, wow. Okay. Biggest mistake in my entrepreneurial journey. That's catching me on the spot a little bit.
That's what we like to do.
I'm going to give you a real answer too, because I'm thinking about it. I would probably say that actually I know exactly what it is. So, but again, everybody's got to learn things by going through. So I actually wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest lessons I learned, I think is actually a better way of putting it almost, is I did not soon enough delegate responsibilities and truly become a CEO.
Yeah.
I am very, I'm analytical. I dive into ads. I'm in the weeds. I go in and I'm very detail oriented, which I think is incredible strength to grow a business where you actually get the best client results. You actually get the best everything, perfectionist. But there's a double-edged sword where, if you don't rely on your people enough, to do different things, right? For a long time, I did all of the sales calls by myself, and actually it was I had, kind of a 20-minute hot seat with Jay Abraham. And he was the one who was like, why? Well, I'm like, I'm closing 40%. And he's like, yeah, you can, and obviously he said it in a much more eloquent way than you can, but the eloquent way of basically saying, listen, you can scale up so much more, even if you have advisors who are closing 25%, and you're pulled out of that. Right. Yeah. And so I would say that's probably the thing that I didn't do soon enough, but I think learning that lesson ingrains it. If I had just,
we all have to make that mistake, really have to make that mistake for it to really hit home. Right.
Exactly.
Yeah. I love that, man. Next one, how soon do you think coaches and consultants, how soon in their business do you think that they should get started on paid advertising?
So that's a great question. And what I would say is it's good to build up reserves with cash if you don't have any to get into paid ads. I wouldn't wait too long because the paid ads is what's going to give you a consistent amount of phone calls that you're going to be able to use to get new clients, right? So it's one of those things where, yes, you could do really, really well with organic, but what I've seen, the problem that people fall into is they're not great at organic.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm not great at until I do paid. But that doesn't make sense, right? So actually, there's not really a time where it doesn't make sense to go into ads because it's one of two things. Either organic isn't really working as well for you, in which case paid ads might be the solution, or getting help with, I know you also help people with organic, or getting help with organic. Or on the other side, organic is working really well for you, in which case, let's throw some gasoline on that fire and
put some gas in there. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So kind of a follow-up to that question, you mentioned, putting aside some to kind of test out. How much do you, for your clients, how much do you normally have them have ready to test out when they're getting into paid advertising?
So you don't need that much in order to run, the campaigns and everything. And also I do recommend, and I'm sure you're a proponent of this too. I've invested, multiple, 6 figures in my own coaching mentorship.
Yeah. Invested way too much money.
But at the same time, it's incredibly valuable in that I think that should also be a consideration as well. You're going to waste more money trying to do it on your own or following kind of second-rate courses or just
even wasting, the more important resource, time, right?
Exactly. More importantly, time, a huge learning curve, right? Then if you join with whether it's my program or not, and I'll come out here and say listen, we set everything up, all the right pieces, but I would recommend including that into your idea as well as having somebody walk you through this process and then the ad spend. In terms of ad spend though, typically our clients will start at between $50 and $100 a day. And then some clients start at $200 or $250 or more, whatever. But typically the average is around $100 a day. You could start at 50. Obviously we have people who start higher, right? At, bigger businesses, but between 50 and 100 is kind of usually where you'd want to start. And then I would recommend before going into it, having having like a month ready, but that's conservative. We have a lot of clients, like, well, some clients like first day, but obviously the average usually is going to be like 7 to 10 days before you start, as long as you're able to close deals, that you should have closable deals.
Yeah.
Sales skills is another side of the equation here too.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that's typically, people come in pretty quickly.
I love it, man. That's good stuff. Yeah. Let me think. I got one more question for you. Is there anything else that you think would be really, besides this, anything else you think would be really helpful for all the coaches out there?
Oh yeah.
But just give it to us. What else?
Yeah, let's so one thing, and I don't want to take up too much of the time or what timetable we have, but there is a concept that I have for identifying the perfect high ticket coaching client with YouTube ads. Targeting. We talked about the video. Now let's talk about the targeting, right? The biggest mistake that people make when they start targeting on YouTube, and this we talked about the learning curve, is, and maybe some of you have already made this mistake if you've experimented with YouTube, is a lot of content that scratches the surface that talks about placement ads. You're probably familiar. A lot of people are probably familiar.
Yeah.
Some people think placement ads are all YouTube is. It's where you select certain videos and run your ad in front of it. That's just the tip, the very small tip of the iceberg. The problem with those is they're really great at a very, very small scale, but they're almost impossible to scale to the level you want because you're literally pinpointing individual videos.
Right.
The problem is most courses out there that people buy only talk about that because it's what a lot of people know. A lot of courses, as you know, unfortunately, are just people rehashing the same things.
Right, yeah.
And so what we found is the way to actually create what we would call, and actually the name of this too, an infinite pipeline of consistent high ticket leads through YouTube ads. It's that right video, the hook, educate, call to action, combined with what I call 3D YouTube ads targeting. So the second mistake people make when they find the placements are too narrow is they go the opposite route. They go too broad.
Go for everything.
They now target keywords, big keywords, like, if you're in fitness coaching, how to lose weight. That's huge. There's so many people who search that, right? And then they do, or how to get leads, right? That's very, very broad in the business space. The problem there is they're very scalable, but not as specific enough to get your perfect client. So there's 3 main components to get the perfect client. We're basically drawing a triangle. So the first is demographics. Now, YouTube can do what Facebook was able to do a couple years ago, but they got rid of it, which stinks, is household income targeting.
Yeah.
Google's really good at that. They know who's in the top income bracket. For coaches, that is incredible. If you can get on the phone where, like 80% of the people you talk to can afford your services, that's incredible, right? So you go to the top, you target top, 30% income earners. You combine that, right, with what they're searching right now. So those keywords, how to get leads, how to get sales, how to get fit, et cetera, whatever it happens to be that you're providing, right? People searching those, or topics. So there's topics like advertising, small business, MLM and business opportunity, things like that. And then you layer that, and this is the trick. This is what a lot of people don't know. People don't even know you can do this with audiences on YouTube. So you can layer with audiences, affinity audiences, where you can build it out with keywords like ClickFunnels, right? EverWebinar, coaches, consultants, right? Or you could, layer it with, business professional. You can also layer with Google searches people have done in the past. And this is really, really cool. What's called a custom URL audience.
Nice.
Google Analytics has all this data of like every website you've been on. And you can actually put into your targeting people who have been on this site or similar sites.
That's amazing.
And imagine that. We'll just do a quick example. And actually it's really easy to do an example for myself, right? So we're helping, people like a lot of people listening, right? Coaches, consultants, course creators using YouTube ads get more leads and sales. So we're going to target people in a top income bracket. So we know that they can afford our services, they're a business owner. Combine that with people looking up, how to get leads, how to get sales, Facebook ads, even more so than YouTube ads, like Facebook ads, like things like that. And then layer that with people who have been on clickfunnels.com, people who are, we know are coaches, right? Consultants, course creators. When we do that, we've pinpointed the perfect high ticket buyer every time. And that's what we do. That's what we recommend that clients and coaches and consultants do as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man. I love it. Sounds like that's the Facebook killer right there is what that is.
I would say so. It is indeed.
I dig it, man. I dig it. Beautiful, dude. Well, we're running up on time here. I do have one last question for you. Obviously, we have a mutual friend, Sean Kemp, that introduced us. So probably the most important question here is who's cooler, me or Sean?
Oh man, I can't. I don't think I can answer. I don't think I can answer that one there.
Fair enough. Fair enough. You don't have to answer that. I don't want to embarrass Sean on a live podcast.
You got some great hair. You went on the hair front. There you go.
Perfect. I'll take it.
Don't tell him I said that.
I'll take it, man. I love it, brother. Thank you so much, Aleric. Where can people learn more about you? Where can people learn more about everything that you do?
Awesome. So I actually put together a page, and I told people when I was over on Sean's podcast as well. It's adoutreach.com/gifts. And I have multiple gifts that I want to give you guys. I don't want to just give one. I'm all about providing value. So ADOUTREACH, adoutreach.com/gifts. And you'll see a little video of me, a link to our webinar. And I mentioned earlier, our average watch time is 53 minutes. You can't force people to stay on the webinar. We provide real value. And so that's a primer on YouTube ads. If you're new to it, you want to learn how it works. We also have a video, I think it's going to be really relevant for everybody here, YouTube ads for high ticket sales, specifically for high ticket sales. That's linked there as well. And we have our Facebook group. I know obviously you've got a Facebook group too. We've got a Facebook group, YouTube ads for entrepreneurs. We're dropping free trainings all the time.
Beautiful. I love it, man. Thank you. Thank you for all the knowledge you dropped, Aleric. This has been great. I know this will be a big benefit for a lot of people out there. So thanks for joining the show, brother.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on, Xander.
Of course. Have a good one, boss.